back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
What is up, full-time family? Back with another episode of Betting on the Fights with Fake Money, and you might be able to tell I am a little happy because we won big this week. Fuck your time, Matt. We actually lost money the last 2 weeks, our first losing streak in a row, but now we come through and we win big. We only bet $170. We done fucked around and won like 400. Lyoto Machida was a plus 250 underdog. As well as Timothy Johnson, he was an underdog as well. We bet on both underdogs that we predicted to win, and they both came through. So let's fucking go. And another one, and another one, and we won both of these motherfuckers by split decision, I believe. Woo! Hey, I'm down with it. I thought both of these fighters did win their fights, though. Although the Timothy Johnson and the Gome fight, I was like, oh, I don't know how they're going to score this fight. We're in Brazil, and Timothy Johnson ended up getting the decision, and I was like, whew. Now, let's move forward. Let's go over where we started with this last week. Okay, we started off with $620. That was our starting bankroll, and we bet $170 on the fights. $100 on Timothy Johnson, $70 on Lyoto Machida. Now, that left us with $450. Even if we would have lost both of these fights, we would have had $450 left. But we didn't lose both of these fights. We actually won both of these fights. So, boom, boom, God, who would have thunk it? Bet 170 and bring back 485. That's a good week. Now, Timothy Johnson was the plus 140 underdog, so we won $140 profit on that fight. Total payout of $240. Lyoto Machida was the plus 250 underdog, so we ended up getting a $245 payout on that fight after betting $70. So our total payout is $485. You add that to the $450 we had after placing our bets. We're back up to $935, moving back on up the freaking fake money mountain. I'm excited, man. Man, you guys know we ain't took no losses. We weren't taking losses. I wasn't used to taking those losses. I was like, no, what if this continues? What's going on? And then we had a big week, so now we're right back to it. And I believe this is episode 20. What a better time, man. Now let's get to these next week's fights, pay-per-view fights. Rockhold versus Yoel Romero. Supposed to be Robert Whitaker, but it's going to be Yoel Romero. Also, Mark Hunt versus Curtis Blades in the main event. Yes, this does look like a UFC on Fox card, but hey, it's a pay-per-view, and it's going to be fun. Robert Whitaker was forced out due to staph infection. Yoel Romero jumped in to step in to fight for his second interim title in a row now. But let's get to our bets. Tyson Pedro and the other fight, Li Jingliang and Jake Matthews. I'm not going to bet on those fights because I picked both of the favorites to win the fight, and they're pretty big favorites. Tyson Pedro's minus 265, so I don't want to bet too much there. He's a pretty big favorite. Same with Li Jingliang. Now, Jake Matthews is at home, so that's an interesting, that's pretty interesting, especially being at home. Sometimes some people think being at home gives you an advantage on the judges' scorecards, and that may be slightly true, but if you win the fight, you're probably going to win the fight. A lot of people were saying Lyoto Machida won the fight, or didn't win the fight, and that it was because of the hometown. I mean, I really was watching the fight, and yes, I had fake money on Lyoto, but I wasn't even thinking about that. I actually thought Lyoto won the fight. Eric Anders was doing a lot of skipping around, and maybe you could say stalking him, but he wasn't firing off much offense. So I actually felt like Lyoto Machida won the fight at the end of the 5th round. So with that being said, I think Li Jingliang is going to be able to come to enemy territory and get the job done. So I'm not going to bet too much money there, though, because Li Jingliang is like a minus 225 favorite. I'm not interested. But Cyril Asker, much to my surprise, mine is a plus 255 underdog, and I picked him to win the fight. Like, this almost made me have to go back and rethink, do my research. Like, what the hell was I seeing to make me pick this guy who's such a big underdog to win the fight? But hey, it is what it is. That's why I went ahead and put $100 there, because I picked him to win, and I went back and double-checked my research, and Tai Tuivasa, yeah, he's young, 24 years old, and he's going to be, a young Thundercat that could knock you out for sure. but he's only got like 6 professional fights, and he's knocked all of those guys out in the first round. And he's never been outside the first round. He is going to be at home, but I'm just saying, we haven't ever seen him outside the first round. His competition hasn't been, he ain't been knocking 6 guys out in the UFC. So hey, I mean, Tai Tuivasa's at home and he's a big favorite, but I'm gonna go ahead and put $100 on Asker, who I actually predicted to win the fight. So hey, maybe we'll come up like we did last week on that fight. You know, kind of like Lyoto Machida. Let's see. So next, going to Curtis Blaydes and Mark Hunt. Holy smokes, let me tell you how hard it was to place this bet. I could have took this $100. I started with 50. I could have took this 100 and put it on Mark Hunt or Curtis Blaydes. Like, I would have accepted a bet on either one of these guys. For one, I don't even like picking against Mark Hunt in this fight, because this nigga's got abs for the first time in forever. He's really preparing for this fight, and he's at home, co-main event of a pay-per-view, pissed off at the UFC, chip on his shoulder. I really see Mark Hunt coming in here and getting the job done. But Curtis Blaydes is just a fucking force to be reckoned with. Unlike Tai Tuivasa, Curtis Blaydes has been beating up guys in the UFC. And now the thing about Cyril Asker, I believe he might have used to fight at light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken, so he might just be super undersized in the fight. That might be why he's such a big underdog, because how undersized he is. But anyways, back to the Curtis Blaydes Mark Hunt fight. Curtis Blaydes has been beating up dudes in the UFC, tough guys. Most recently, Alexander Oleneksy, who was just coming off of a 2-fight win streak with wins over Travis Brown and such. Curtis Blaydes put him away, made it look pretty easy, and he's a former Division I wrestler. He's going to have the cardio, the grappling ability, and the striking. He's a very well-rounded heavyweight, and he's young, explosive. Curtis Blaydes is a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. Mark Hunt, I believe, is like 43 years old, coming off of a win over Derek Lewis before losing to Alistair Overeem. So Mark Hunt's toward the end of his career. Curtis Blaydes is moving into his prime, and he's still pretty young to be moving into his prime. So I'm pretty, even though Mark Hunt's good value, he's at home, you know, so and he's a veteran, got the experience, so I wouldn't mind betting on him this fight. I just predicted Curtis to win, so I'm just going to put my money there. So with that being said, Curtis is the favorite, and since he's not too big of a favorite, you know, it's not like no minus 200 or anything, 225 or anything, I'm going to go ahead and bet on Curtis Blaydes. Now, Luke Rockhold, Yoel, Romero, this one was kind of tough, but I predicted Luke to win the fight, so I'm just going to throw 100 there on the main event. Yeah, Yoel can for sure win this fight. I mean, and Yoel is a slight underdog. It's almost a pick 'em, but I'm going with Luke Rockhold. He's coming off of a win over David Branch, being knocked out by Michael Bisping, but Yoel Romero's coming off that loss to Robert Whittaker, but Robert Whittaker is a fucking force, though. So, going to be a great main event, interim title fight. I'm just going to put my money where my prediction is and bet $100 on Luke Rockhold. So, we're going to bet a total of $300 this week, bringing us down to $635 if everything goes bad. But if not, we'll take the winnings that we earn and we'll add it to that $635, and we'll see our new total next week on episode 21. So thanks for tuning in and checking this out. If you've been following along, or if you're new, let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.